Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. I am your host, CSD Fantasy. Hello, Fantasy Faithfuls, and welcome to episode 4 of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. My name is CSD Fantasy, and I'm flanked by Nick Faber and Colton Daniel. How y'all doing?
Oh, man, I'm feeling good. Not as good as I would if the Bills won this weekend, but we're feeling good. Happy to be here, ready to get going, ready to get rolling.
Nick, how are you?
Sir. Yes, sir. I mean, I'm feeling the same way. Be a lot happier if the Lions would have won. We came close. The referees had something to say about it, but we didn't get the win, and we were going on to a bye, and then we got Green Bay on Monday night, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I feel like I jinxed the crap out of our teams on the last episode, like being too hype. We're 3 undefeated fans, and everything just went to crap after that. But
yeah, man.
That's the NFL for you. And
they were all heartbreakers too, weren't they? All came down to the last drives there.
Yeah, and Tyron.
That last one was real tough. Like, man, they on the road against the Saints, and I don't know. I feel like that one was the most shocking. Obviously, like that was tough.
Yeah,
Eddie B.
I was pretty confident that was gonna be a win, but even at the end, I'm like, oh, of course we're gonna walk, like, just march down the field and score 3 points, no problem, and then we start off with a 10-yard penalty, but, that's what happens. But today we have a great episode for you, but feel free to interrupt at any point in the show in the live chat. We're here to serve. Before we get into today's show, I would like to remind you to hit that like button. Please share it on social media to help us get the word out there. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Check out the Patreon page below for exclusive content and personal fantasy projections. And lastly, head over to csdfantasy.com for the latest waiver wire and tomorrow for the score projection and risk analysis for week 5. And don't forget to check out the fantasy snapshots coming out here on YouTube of DJ Chark and DeMarcus Robinson on Friday and Saturday right here on the YouTube channel. But now to the news. That song is just, it adds so much flavor to it, Carlton. Thank you.
I figured it would, man. Hey, I'm glad you guys appreciate it.
We have a couple of fun news items, or I shouldn't say fun. The first one is kind of depressing, actually. But Trubisky going down with a shoulder injury and his impact on the Bears' offense as a whole for fantasy production. How do you feel about that moving forward, Nick?
I mean, was there much fantasy production in general? If you own someone from Chicago, it was probably David Montgomery or Allen Robinson. I think Robinson's going to take a decline without Mitch there, though. Chase Daniels might be the better quarterback, so maybe not. David Montgomery might also see a little bit of like a downtick just because you would think that the backup quarterback wouldn't be able to open up holes for the running back more so than the starting quarterback, but maybe he can. I mean, I've seen Chase Daniels play in a couple games, and he hasn't looked too bad. I've looked at Mitch Trubisky a lot this year, and he's looked very bad. So, I don't know. I don't think that you're really adjusting David Montgomery or Allen Robinson just because Trubisky's not playing. I think you still got him rocking.
Carlton, how do you feel about it? I'm a little bit skeptical about that Bears offense as a whole. I was touting Tariq Cohen as he was so cheap early on in drafts, but he never really panned out until this game.
Right?
Been very disappointed.
Yeah. It has been, and I mean, I'm not the highest on Trubisky at all, right? And I have some close Bears friends over there, and they're all a little frustrated themselves. So he, like Nick said, he hasn't been lighting it up. So I honestly see nothing but potential here for Chase Daniel to come in and be serviceable enough to get fantasy production out of Allen Robinson. Maybe even a Taylor Gabriel might, be a little safety valve in that spot. But I really see Montgomery possibly being a top 15 pick, actually top 15 running back this week, only this week.
Oh, that was a struggle to get out, though.
I know it didn't feel confident because he's been such a disaster so far. But I see his usage is really going up every week, so I would not be shocked to see them lean on him a little bit here. I could definitely see some uptick in production for him.
Yeah, he's a guy I've been saving on teams where I've been relying on Austin Eckler. As I was anticipating a return of Melvin Gordon, I've been stocking up on potential RB1s behind Eckler on those teams. So I have Devin Singletary, Devin Montgomery, I just picked up Ronald Jones on one team with Eckler to try to have at least one of them break out as a running back one. I think that's what you can hope for with David Montgomery, or not RB1, but RB1 on his team and an RB2 in fantasy.
Would you drop Tariq Cohen for, let's say Raheem Mostert?
Ooh.
We'll say PPR league.
Is it for both of us here? Can we both jump in
Yeah,
here?
go ahead.
Yeah, both of you guys. Yeah, everybody. Yep.
So, that's a tough one. Tariq Cohen still has that name value, Like, you could still – it's so hard to let him go. Like, I don't know. I've had him really win a fantasy championship for me before. It's hard for me to drop him. And Mostert –
he does have a really cool last name.
He does.
Mostert.
Sorry if you can hear background noise over here, by the way, viewers.
I don't know. I think I'm going to hold
on. I would
just
not,
in case of injury.
I would not drop Tariq Cohen for Mostert right now.
But Tariq Cohen isn't doing anything. And maybe Mostert wasn't the greatest. Like, are you dropping him for a guy like what if Alexander Madison is out there? Are you keeping Tariq Cohen over him?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys got a lot more faith in Tariq Cohen than I do.
Only because we've seen him do it before. Like, that's the only thing I'm thinking on here. If he does get opportunity
on a Bears offense that was proficient last year, this Bears offense is pitiful.
But that's when they leaned on Cohen, though.
What?
They were proficient when they were leaning more on Cohen. Like, if they start leaning on him more, they might be proficient again. So that's something that you would bet on that offense, that if he gets back, they realize, oh shit, if we give one of our best players the ball more, we're going to be better. Look at what the Packers did with Devontae Adams last week. Like, oh, we have a Pro Bowl freaking all-pro receiver. Let's get him the football. Oh, that's a really difficult coaching decision in my book.
So basically, you're saying the blame for Tariq Cohen's fantasy production lies solely on Matt Nagy.
Matt Nagy.
And Trubisky.
When I read that name, I was pretty sure that there's some hockey players from Europe that spelled Nagy, and they're pronounced Notch, and then the people here started saying Nagy, and I'm like, wait, it's Notch. It's definitely.
You guys get Notch out of Nagy?
It's pronounced that way, like from where it originates in Europe. It's just a weird.
Oh, you Europeans are. You guys are so different. You guys are so different. I love it.
You're saying that Nagy is pronounced Notch, like Notch?
Yeah.
Wow. Learn something new every day. That's crazy. All right.
But also heard the Patriots tossed in another European. I don't know where he's from, but his name was Jakob Johansson or something for the Patriots.
Really?
Yeah, I wish I would have done a freaking search for this beforehand. He's actually from my freaking country. So he's a Swedish professional footballer who no, what a creep. The Patriots.
How many Swedish football players are there?
There's been one in the NFL.
Who's the best Sweden hockey player of all time?
Oh, that's difficult. That's difficult.
Off top of your head right now.
I would go Peter Forsberg.
Oh my God, I'm done with this show.
What?
Peter Forsberg and the Colorado Avalanche can.
Lidstrom? Okay, let's get back to fantasy football. Darnold is back soon. What about the impact on the Jets, Carlton? How do you feel about them? This is why the show is called The Rabbit Hole.
Yeah, man. The Jets, that was a deep dive right there, guys. So Darnold's been sorely missed. I'm not the biggest fan of Darnold, but you see the impact that he had to keep that offense actually moving and getting some production out of a Le'Veon Bell or Robbie Anderson. They look pitiful without him, and it's sad. So Le'Veon Bell owners should rejoice because Darnold coming back means that 6 or their 8 in the box is going to back up a little bit. They're going to respect his arm a little bit more. You're going to see some dump offs. You can see some play action going. So I see nothing but positive things for the Jets offense. Not high on them overall because, like we talked about before, mono is a tough disease to come back from. That is not going to be – he's not going to just come back and light it up, I don't think. But he's going to do enough for defenses to respect him. And hopefully Robbie Anderson could, be worth something, whatever you drafted him for. If you held on to him this long, hopefully you see a little bit of production out of him. And a Jameson Crowder who looked amazing week 1 with Darnold in there. So I could see nothing but improvement from a Luke Falk-led Jets offense.
Yeah, Jameson Crowder is the only Jets player that I kept on my roster. I had to drop my Chris Herndon my favorite fantasy tight end. As I couldn't even
You
wait
dropped
for him. I had to drop him in one league.
He comes back this week, right, or next week?
Yeah, he comes back, but without Darnold, I wasn't too excited. And then you have to start a tight end eventually, and I couldn't rely on Tyler Eifert and just streaming. So I had to drop him for somebody to start. Jason Witten has been decent in giving me somewhat of a production. Old man Witten, even with that freaking fumble. But I've been stashing Jamison Crowder on PPR leagues, deep PPR leagues. Do you see any value? Do you see any value? Who do you have most valuable on that Jets offense if we remove Le'Veon Bell, Nick?
Everyone. I think this whole Jets offense is about to explode once November comes around. Through October, the Jets play the Eagles, they play the Cowboys, they play the Patriots, they play the Jags. Jags, Eagles, maybe not the best defenses. Jags is not the defense we saw a few years ago. But let's talk about November. November hits. The Jets play the Dolphins, the Giants, the Redskins, the Raiders, the Bengals, the Dolphins. All in a row. That is 6 games in a row with the four worst defenses known to man. So get your Herndon, get your Robbie, get your Crowder, get your Bell, and make sure you stash on them. You might sit through another month of hardship with them, and you might think it's all over. But then right as the home stretch comes, when you need guys more than ever, you can start relying on these Jets. To answer your question at hand, though, outside of Le'Veon Bell, the most to see like a proficient uptick because Darnold comes back, in my opinion, is going to be Crowder. He's probably been dropped in every league that everyone's listening in right now. Crowder was dropped in thought as a no-name at this point. He was pretty much never owned. He was owned after the first week, and that was about it. Dropped right after. So I just picked up Robbie Anderson in a league. I've been trying to pick up Herndon. I've been trying to pick up Herndon, but I've also been trying to pick up Crowder in every league I see available. Get them now. Understand that there's a month still of Darnold coming back from a disease that's damn near killer. There's defenses like the Patriots you'll be facing and the Cowboys that you'll be facing. Very good defenses. But once you get over them and once November hits, get ready to cash in like that man who won $10 million off the Astros last year.
We we have a couple of people joining the chat. We have On the Water 86. Welcome to the show. And Wesley can't pronounce that. Well, Wesley, welcome to the show. And AJ Brody, always a pleasure to see everybody here.
What's up, guys?
On the Water 86 tells us to focus before the second period of the Caps game starts. Which is, I think it's a fantastic comment. I apologize for the background noise. My neighbor is moving. But On the Water asks us, Will Disley or Marquise Brown, Philip Dorsett, Jordan Howard? Let's see what we got. Will Disley or Marquise Brown, Philip Dorsett, Jordan Howard. So it's Will Disley or one of these three. Marquise Brown, Philip Dorsett, and Jordan Howard. On the Water, is that for this week or is it moving forward?
On the Water, by the way. I like that name. Smoke on the Water. The only song I can play on the guitar. Yep.
Oh, let's not get that copyright claim on us right there.
Oh, that might be that. By the way, if this question is for this week, I'm gonna jump right in.
Go ahead.
Talk to Mr. Smoke. Dude, if you're not starting Philip Dorsett against the Washington Redskins, you're doing it wrong. You're just doing it wrong. I love me some Will Disley. I had literally just did a tape to recording, a 30-minute recording episode all about Will Disley last night. You can go check it out on the Daily Blitz pod. Quick plug for myself. But also, Philip Dorsett is coming in to be like the number one wide receiver. Josh Gordon, questionable, probably will play, but still, a nagging injury. Dorsett has been the trustee from Tom Brady since Gronk has left. It has been the Philip Dorsett show. I love me some Philip Dorsett, especially against this subpar, we'll say, Redskins defense. Even if Josh Norman's out there, Josh Norman ain't covering Philip Dorsett. I can guarantee that. So start Philip Dorsett if it's for this week.
Norman couldn't cover anybody right now.
Well, then maybe you do want him on set, don't you?
Like, no, but the Redskins are the third worst wide receiver or the third best team for a wide receiver to play right now. I talked about Philip Dorsett a lot on my waiver wire article last week and this week. I told you to sit him against the Bills and then just have him on your team and be so happy. He has the 3rd best opponent this week and the 5th best schedule after that week. That's not even including playing the 3rd best opposition for a wide receiver. He still has the 5th best schedule. That's incredible. And you want him on your team. I couldn't see anybody that you would start. I mean, I can see players you would start over him, but of that group, definitely Philip Dorsett. And it was this week, so we covered that pick from On the Water. Thank you so much. Wesley, thank you so much for hitting that like button. We have another question from AJ Brody. When will Nuke Hopkins, now I'm struggling like crazy, have his big game? Should I trade him? To me, you should not trade Nuke Hopkins. He's coming back. Don't worry about it. He's been quarterback proof before. He's going to be quarterback proof again. He has a good quarterback. They are struggling a little bit, and his big game will come. His value could probably not be lower than what it is right now. Yeah. So if you're trading him away before his big games come, you're going to sit there and like, yeah, I did that. It was the same with Devontae Adams. It was just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time with these type of players. And last year I think he had 14 or 13 usable games where he should have been started in 12-team leagues. You will still have 10 usable games, which is more than 80% of all other wide receivers. Any objections?
No, man, not at all. That was really well said.
Very much so. The only thing I can add in is just look at his schedule coming up. He's got some pretty easy matchups, and that's never the time you want to trade a guy. If you do not like Nuke and you do want to trade him and you get an offer that you can't refuse, wait until he blows up the next couple of weeks, and then you can add on an extra first-round pick or add on an extra player if you're playing Dynasty or whatever. Just not right now, right? Exactly like Carl said. Worst time to trade him right now.
And as a breakout, I think this week is going to be his breakout. Against Atlanta, I really see him taking off. Yeah, I hate to say it.
Falcons defense, man, I had so much faith in them and so much confidence
going. They look great on paper, don't they?
They were my Super Bowl team for the NFC. Not winner, but Super Bowl representative of the NFC. And they have let me down every single minute of the way. It's
unbelievable. You can't blame injuries now. It's bad. It's bad.
Right, and that's exactly what I was doing. I was like, the injuries are what caused them to be as bad as they were last year. Wait for them to get healthy. But Neal's back out, and I don't know. Now, I don't know.
Say what you want, though. Dan Quinn, I was listening to an interview on Atlanta Sports Radio this morning, and he is hilarious.
Well, that's
all I had to say.
Do you get to win football games off of the hilarity of your coaches?
No, you don't. Oh. You don't. But
they give out championships for funny.
That's like Bill Belichick.
Then Rex Ryan would be like, he would have had 3 rings by now.
Oh, Let's
go get a snack.
So bad.
But we got so many questions coming in here. So
Sweet.
That leads us
Keep them coming.
I love questions.
That leads us into a perfect segment, but that we don't have an intro for. So I'm just gonna toss it out there and say Nick's picks coming up. We were planning on having a couple of players that we will have toss out to Nick, and he's gonna give us the structure of these two, but we have so many questions, so I'm gonna toss out a couple of players here with Tyrell Williams or Calvin Ridley.
I mean, look, let's not try to downplay how bad Ridley's been this year, but Tyrell Williams goes up against the Bears. I'm not starting anyone against the Bears ever, so give me Calvin Ridley.
That's a PPR pick as well. Does that change your attitude?
Not in the slightest.
Not in the slightest. We got Courtland Sutton versus Chris Godwin.
Oh, my God. If you're not starting Chris Godwin every single week, regardless if he's questionable until Sunday at noon, you are starting Chris Godwin. I don't care what they're playing. Plus, let's add on they're playing the freaking Saints, who have like the 28th worst defense against receivers. Something. Carl, you're better at those stats than I am. So, yeah. But they got to be right there. They're not good. They're not good. I can tell you that. So give me Chris Godwin all day over almost everyone but 10 players in the league right now. Third best wide receiver in the league, right? PPR? That's a yes. That's a rhetorical yes.
Yes.
I've looked at it. Yes, it's true.
And the Saints are the 9th best opponent for a wide receiver to face. I was looking that up. So
I thought they were like 5th best, but still.
But that's with CSD ranking, so I adjust for the 3-game average as well.
Are there any other rankings that matter?
Not
Opposed
really.
to
If
yes,
you want to
exactly.
win, if you want to win at fantasy football, it's pretty much no brainer where to find rankings.
That's right.
Last up, we have Demarcus Robinson versus DJ Shark, the two fantasy snapshot guys here, and I wanted to get Nick's take on these two.
That's so fun. I was going to jump in and ask you guys, while I think this over real quick, because this is kind of a tough one, I want to give you both a quick question during Nick's picks and let you guys take a pick. Would you rather have Demarcus Robinson or DJ Shark for the rest of the season?
Ooh, Shark all day. We talked about this last week. That's my guy right there. So I think Demarcus Robinson's going to see a little backdrop. They say Hill's recovering. He's going to start practicing soon. So I see him kind of taking a backseat a little bit to Hill and Sammy Watkins. And they're spreading that ball around a little too much, even though you do want a piece of that Chiefs offense. I just love Shark right now.
I'm not going to say anything on this. I'm saving that for the videos coming out Friday and Saturday on those two.
Teaser!
Teaser.
Yes, I love it. Let me, by the way, answer this question real quick with a start for this week. Give me Demarcus Robinson at home Sunday night against the Colts. Patrick Mahomes threw 0 touchdowns against the Lions last week. I doubt that happens again. He is going to come back with a vengeance himself. I know he got the win. It doesn't seem like he should have vengeance, but throwing 0 touchdowns has to hurt him where it counts. So as much as the Panthers defense might not look that great, to be all honest, Gardner Minshew questionable, limping around the last drive against Denver. Should play, but maybe might hold him back a little bit, might hold DJ back a little bit. Give me Robinson as a breakout game, along with Pat Mahomes throwing 4 touchdowns against the Colts Sunday night.
Fantastic. So we got Tyrell Williams versus Calvin Ridley with a Ridley pick, Cortland Sutton versus Chris Godwin with a Godwin pick, and DeMarcus Robinson versus DJ Chark with a DeMarcus Robinson pick. And next week on Nick's Picks, we will be going back to dissect these picks by Nick. And if he's failed, we will beat the crap. No. We will fly up to Detroit.
Scream, man. Come on.
We will just come up there and just, no.
If I go 0-3, we'll say I have to sit out the first half of the next show. Kind of like a penalty, you know? Maybe not the first half.
No,
I think that's a penalty for the fans.
A 2-minute penalty box or something like that.
I'm gonna need some help because I'm
we can get more creative than that. I think we can do something really good.
We're gonna take 2 more questions before we hit the next segment. I'm gonna need some help because I'm drawing a complete blank on MG3.
Melvin Gordon, the third.
Is he the third?
Yeah.
How long has he been the third?
Since he was born, probably.
Freak.
Even though Senior was a good back in his day. I don't know if you got the chance to watch.
The second, though, you can't forget about the second.
MG2 was a beast, guys. I don't.
MG2.
This 3 thing is such a new concept for me. Like Golden Tate the third. I'm like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I never really put him down. I never pay attention. Is it OJ Howard like a junior, right? Like I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Stanley Yelnats the 5th.
What a great reference. What a good movie in my book. I like that movie. The book was great too, obviously, but I like Shia LaBeouf in that movie.
That was
His
well
best
played.
movie. But thoughts on him this week?
On
Shia LaBeouf?
No,
I think he's going to be all right.
I think Shia LaBeouf's going to know how to find the holes. Get it? Oh!
He knows how to find the holes. Are you kidding me? Stop the show right now. Stop the show.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. This has been the Fantasy Rabbit Hole with Shia LaBeouf.
That's right.
That's 3 whole references in a minute. That's unbelievable.
My thoughts on Melvin Gordon III this week is, no. I don't want to. I'm still starting Austin Eckler over Melvin Gordon. Am I the only one?
I got Eckler still starting in a couple of my leagues. I'm not, and this is the big reason why is Denver's defense takes a big hit with Bradley Chubb out. Denver's defense hasn't been good in general. I think Melvin Gordon is a safe flex play. I don't think he's a run back 1 or 2, but I think he's a safe flex play, as is Austin Eckler. We just kind of got to ride it out to see what's going to happen with them both back, but you don't want to miss out on either of them. My opinion.
Colton, what do you feel about Wayne Gallman as a good flex start for PPR this week?
Oh man, Gallman, he proved me wrong completely this week. Like I was really,
Same
I mean, it's not that I was low on him, I just didn't know what to expect, and he looks very involved in that offense, and he looks good. So, oh yeah, you could do way worse. He looks like he would be solid for RB2. So flex, well worth it.
Wayne Gallman or Melvin Gordon, Carlton?
Oh well, this week definitely Gallman. But I wouldn't be shocked to see Melvin Gordon do pretty well this week. I think this is going to be his coming out party. But
5 touches
I think
and
there's
2 touchdowns.
Say that again.
5 touches for 2 touchdowns for Gordon.
Wouldn't be shocked.
Eckler does all the work.
I'll start him.
Eckler does all the work, and then he has 7 yards and 2 touchdowns. Anyway, let's do some shout-outs before we hit the next segment. We're going to pause the questions a little bit. I'll see everybody here, so don't worry about it. We're going to get to you. We got Mellofan1234, always a pleasure. We have Sound Arrest Me, happy to see you as well. And Luis Tinajero, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Always happy to see everybody here join in. And I see all your questions, and I try to moderate the chat as best as possible. But let's get word in from our sponsor real quick before we hit the next one. With Price Picks. So, tired of losing on DFS salary cap sites with our friends at Price Picks? You can turn that fantasy sports knowledge or our fantasy sports knowledge into cold hard cash. No sharks, no endless hours of research unless you count ours. It's just you against the projections, and what better projections to use to beat the Price Picks ones than CSD Fantasies. Just choose over or under correctly on a player's fantasy point projection to win. Use promo code CSD. New members who sign up and make their first deposit get free 2-pick entry to win $25, 25% first deposit instant match. Price Picks really is daily fantasy simplified. But our next segment is the player that stood out. We have a couple of standout performances that we would like to talk about from the previous week. And my first one is Courtland Sutton. I've been talking about Courtland Sutton all offseason as a guy who has the perfect receiving patterns for a wide receiver to break out. He has been a guy that I told everybody to not join in on last year and wait for him to break out in 2019. And it's starting to pay off dividends with 18.2 points last week, 12 in the first, and 4 and 8.7 in the other two. But if your floor is 4 points, your average is 8.7, and then your high is 18.2. That's a pretty darn good flex player, in my opinion. How do y'all feel about Courtland Sutton? Nick, go ahead.
Oh, me? Hey, I'll take it. I like me some Courtland Sutton. I loved him last year. What he reminded me of was how Demaryius Thomas started out his rookie year with absolutely nothing. His second year, he broke out. And that's kind of what I was expecting out of Courtland Sutton this year. And then Joe Flacco became the quarterback, and I was like, well, that kind of stinks. We're going to have to tone that down a little bit. Though, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Demaryius Thomas' second year was like Kyle Orton throwing to him. But regardless, I love me some Courtland Sutton. Though the big thing about him is Mr. Uncomebackable, Emmanuel Sanders, is still there.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Uncomebackable.
You know what he said.
Uncomebackable.
I'm playing the sound drop over and over again.
Uncomebackable.
That was good.
But Carlton, who is your player that stood out in week 4?
Oh man, my player, he's something like a workhorse. Stallion, maybe. He's a fine breed. Talking about Fournette, straight out of LSU. This man completely put the team on his back. And I've been waiting for this breakout game from him, especially coming off a rough year last year. I was high on him this year. 29 carries, 225 yards, 7.7 yards per carry. What a beast. Even without touchdowns, his production was ridiculous. And you have a rookie quarterback in there who does look good. He's keeping defenses honest, keeping them from stacking the box. He's getting involved in the pass game a little bit. I'm loving what Fournette is doing. So this week, he really stood out as being completely the Jaguars offense. So yeah, with, like Nick said, with Gardner getting hurt now, it only looks better going forward for Leonard, for me. And I think they're going to lean on him a little bit more. So I see this production just repeating itself and a touchdown coming this week.
Yeah, I think with Minshew, you can see that they actually have to pay a little bit respect to the passing game, and that opens up more for Leonard Fournette, even though I'm going to have to go against you and say, I'm not completely sold yet. I think that might be his best game of the season that we just saw.
I mean, 225 is the best game for a lot of people, first off. Second off, are you thinking that's his most points he's going to score this year?
Yes.
I'll hold you to that bet. I like that.
25. I'm going to put it down. 24.5 is going to be Leonard Fournette's high of 2019.
This sounds like a great slap bet.
Which is actually works pretty fine since we live pretty close to each other. So
This can make happen. What I'm saying, like, yeah, I'm on board for that. How many more weeks we have left in the season? Let's do it.
Are we allowed to drink before we get slapped?
Yes.
Of course.
Perfect.
It's a must.
Come on, I have class.
Man, did we just have a live for all viewers watching a slap bet made? Will Leonard Fournette score more than 24.5 fantasy points? Oh my
This is
God.
real.
And if we get
This is real.
when the season ends, if we have over 10 Patreon fans, we will stream the slap.
Yes.
If
like
Carlton
that.
is down with that. When I
I'm
slap
so
him.
down with slapping you, of course. Yeah. What do you mean?
I'm just
But that's coming for that. 3 touchdowns.
I'm just letting you. Do you want to know how many times Leonard Fournette has been over 24.5 points?
Let me know. You are the number guy. I want to know.
2.
You're trying to get
Two
2?
times.
That's too many times for you,
That
Carl.
is-
If he gets one more.
2 times. 2 times.
I like my odds as
Just
well. So
saying.
you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying
There's a chance.
Coming for it, man.
Nick, who is your standout player of Week 4?
I love Leonard Fournette, by the way. Great pick.
Terrible pick.
For me, it's the guy who was consensus about to eat a L, but in fact put up 55 freaking points and ate a W. Ate it right up. It was great. Jameis, mother flipping Winston, dude. The kid's thrown 7 touchdowns and 2 picks in the last 2 games. 765 yards. This can be a shout out for just last week, or this will be a shout out for the last 2 weeks. Winston and Arians have found their stride. If you want to triple cover Mike Evans, good. He's got Chris Godwin. You want to triple cover Godwin? Good. He's got Mike Evans. He's got 2 unbelievably stellar wide receivers. He's got 2 wide receivers in the top 5 of fantasy PPR points. That's not just because those wide receivers are great. That's because Winston's starting to step up. And as much as we all, including myself, wrote him off after a 2 touchdown, 3 interception start for the first 2 games against the miserable San Fran D and Carolina D, all of a sudden those defenses look a little bit better. And I'm not so much worried about Jameis Winston. In fact, I had Stafford in 1,700 of my fantasy football teams this year, and he is on a bye this week, and you can bet your bottom dollar in every league Winston is available, and in every league I'm trying to get him against a poor New Orleans defense. Give me Winston for last week and moving forward. I don't know.
How is he available?
Nobody wants him. He's the 8th best quarterback in the league right now.
Wow.
That's just opinion bias in my
if
opinion. That's
Winston is
opinion
picked
biased.
If Winston is picked up, go find Jacoby Brissett playing Kansas City. Gonna be a heyday.
Let's just talk about the tone change we've had here, because we were really low on Jameis.
Oh, yeah,
That's a big turnaround. It's a big turnaround.
Yep.
He proved us all wrong, so I got nothing but respect for that.
On the road against the Rams defense, there was no stop.
Nobody saw that coming. That was amazing.
100%.
Except CSD did.
Let's before I'm gonna touch on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the next segment as well. So let's hit some shout outs and get some questions in here. We have Mike Honcho joining in the stream and the show. Welcome to so happy to have you on board as always. We got a bunch of questions here, so we're gonna hit them real quick. I'm just gonna toss them back and forth, and we're gonna go. We can't say that because I believe that's a trademark, but we're going to go around something that sticks out of animals.
What?
Oh,
yeah,
I got
think
you.
about that. Think about
I
that.
got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
we're going to go around that. But I believe that's a trademark. So let's start with Carlton. Is week 3... No, actually, I'm going to take this one. Is week 3 Jordan Howard a fluke? Yes. Yes, he definitely is. He is the worst scheme fit video... No, he had the worst scheme fit of anybody I've done a video of in the 3 years I've done scheme fit videos. Nobody has fit his new team as bad as Jordan Howard did, and I don't expect him to be fantastic moving forward. I think that was a fluke. He's going to have 2 more fluke games, but you will never know when they're going to happen. Especially when you play on Philadelphia, they're sort of Patriots light when it comes to running backs. You just never know what they're going to do. Now let's move over to Carlton with Jalen Samuels worth a roster spot.
Ooh, yeah, he is. I mean, the running back is thin right now, and Rudolph shows that he's leaning on that running back little dink and dunk game he's doing up there in Pittsburgh. So I think he's worth the roster spot. I'm not necessarily playing him unless I see a James Conner injury, but definitely worth holding on to just as a handcuff. He looks solid in the receiving game. So as a PPR flex, I don't know. I'm not putting him out there right now, but I'm definitely rostering him over a few guys that are on rosters right now, like a Tariq Cohen maybe.
Nick, how do you feel about?
I'm joking.
How do you feel about Juju Smith moving forward, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I love me some Juju. I mean,
would you touch him?
Like,
if you haven't seen Saturday's show, go back and rewatch that. It's a whole touch segment.
Touching Juju?
I'm not gonna try to. No, Juju is fine. You're gonna have a roller coaster season. You're not gonna have the ultimate season that you thought you were drafting him in the second round, early second round with. It's Mason Rudolph. He looked good against the piss poor Bengals defense. James Conner came breaking out. Jalen did his thing. Jalen damn near had as many snaps behind quarterback as Mason Rudolph. That's a lie, but still, Jalen with 3 for 3 kind of looked pretty good at quarterback. Give me Juju, but I would rather have Chris Godwin rest the season over Juju.
We have another question that we're gonna touch on in the next segment from Mellow Fan. So we're gonna do that. Underwater says drop Juju. Wesley Wesley said
I love you, Smoke. I love you.
Underwater is savage. I love it.
Underwater is savage, baby.
Savage.
Sandra Esme says, hey, what's up, y'all? We're good. How about you? So happy to see your name as always. Wesley asks, pick my flex. Darrell Williams, Jalen Samuels, David Montgomery, full point PPR, Carlton.
David Montgomery out of those 3 for sure. That guy's a workhorse, like I said earlier. I'm loving his opportunity he's going to have. Not necessarily loving the production, but opportunity is the name of the game here if you're talking about a flex. I think that he has potential right now. Who we have the Bears playing again? Real quick, anybody off the top of their head? Oakland? Come on. Yeah, come on. No brainer. David Montgomery.
He's got a pretty stout run defense. Let's not disregard that.
They do, but
they are the most average run defense in the entire league.
But Burfict is gone, guys. Burfict's out of there.
Oh, yeah, Burfict's gone.
There's nothing to fear now.
What happened? No, I'm just...
Montgomery's getting 69% of the snaps out there, too. So you've seen every week he's getting more and more production, getting more and more involved. And I think
basically what I heard out of that was drop Tariq Cohen.
I get it. But here's the thing. I really think that Nagy, or Natch, whichever you want to say, I think he's a little...
We're in America. It was just some knowledge.
I know. I think he's a little too... It seems like they're a little too confident in trying... or they're making a point to get the rookie involved a little bit too much, right? Where Cohen was their guy for the last 2 years. And even though he was never that main guy like a Jordan Howard was, he was such an important point to the offense. So now that, he's trying to make a point to prove David Montgomery's their guy, I just see them going forward until they prove it wrong. So, yeah, they're going to keep going with him.
We have another question. Quick flex option question for PPR League. LaShawn McCoy or James White this coming weekend? Nick, let's toss that one over to you. LaShawn McCoy or James White in full point PPR?
I'm starting every single Patriot against the Redskins, especially if it's PPR. James White is never leaving my lineup. With the way Sony Michel is running, Rex Burkhead questionable. Bolden might get a goal line touchdown, sure, but James White's got to be your boy. LaShawn McCoy, it looks like Damian Williams is back. Looks like McCoy might not even be playing. I'm starting Damian Williams over every other Kansas City running back this week against the Colts. So that means out of the 2, give me Mr. James White.
And we have from Wesley again, sit one Kamara, Mac, Gurley in full point PPR. Carlton, what do you feel about that one? I'm going to touch one more question, and then we're going to hit the next segment.
That's a good one. Definitely starting Kamara for sure. You can't go wrong with Kamara as far as his involvement in that offense. Mac or Gurley, that's a tough one. which you never thought you would say coming into this year.
But Mac has been, just FYI, Mac has been, he's been dealing with a slight injury, so it's not 100% that he's going to play yet.
Yeah,
so
that's true. And I have seen Naheem Hines actually as a solid play too in the flex. So, I'm not in love with Gurley. I hate to say it. This year, I'm really not. But I have to roll with the big guns on this one. Then I'm gonna go Gurley and Kamara.
Let me jump in real quick. Boys, both of you. Gurley, buy or sell right now? Just came off his best game.
I would sell too.
I'm buying all into Gurley. Give me everything Gurley. Malcolm Brown is a thing of the past. The Gurley show is back. Give me Toddy. TG. And that's a shout out to my dad if he's listening. He loves Todd Gurley on his fantasy team. So if he's listening, that's for you, Pops.
So, last one, Cortland Sutton, Golden Tate, full point PPR. I'm rolling Cortland Sutton. I told in the waiver wire article, I'm all in on Cortland Sutton. I picked him up in 2 leagues, and I'm trying to get him on my squad as much as possible. He does have a little bit better matchup than Golden Tate this week, and Golden might have a little bit of rust while Cortland Sutton is finding his rhythm better than ever. So I'm going Cortland Sutton. And
moral of the story, Carl, you love some Cortland Sutton, man.
I do.
Cortland Sutton or Juju Smith-Schuster for the rest of the year, Carl?
No, I had to go Juju.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to get him.
No. I can't go crazy. But we will go crazy in the waiver wire segment coming up. Uncomebackable. I managed to click that button on mistake. But we have a couple of waiver wire targets, and that's why I wanted to say one of the questions here from Mellow Fan, and it was on Ronald Jones, if he's someone you're going to pick up, and he's actually my waiver wire target of this show. I want to pick up Ronald Jones. We talked about Jameis Winston and how that offense is finding their own. They have 2 fantastic wide receivers on the outside. It's going to open up even more for Ronald Jones, who's seeing an increase in his targets. And I'm trying to pick him up. I mentioned him early on in this episode that I'm trying to find running backs that can take over to be RB1s to replace Eckler, and Ronald Jones is definitely one of them. How do y'all feel about him? Y'all nodding, I see, in unison.
Yeah.
I like Rojo.
Like a good thing.
I've been waiting for that since he got drafted, man. I think they've been lacking that go-to running back for a long time. So, yeah, I'm excited about the opportunity that he's getting right there. He's definitely the most explosive. Peyton Barber's been, he's been solid, but I'm loving.
Peyton Barber and solid should never be in the two.
I think he's about as average as you can get with a running back, right? He doesn't do anything great.
I'd rather have Frank Gore than Peyton Barber.
Peyton Barber couldn't find his playbook in a parking lot. Yeah.
I always just think of Peyton Barber missing the block when I think of Peyton Barber right now. He looked like Frogger jumping.
Nothing good comes out of your mouth. No highlights come out of your mouth with Peyton Barber, do they?
No.
He's the anti-Cortland Sutton.
Been holding on to Ronald Jones for 24 months, and I'm finally starting to see the dividends, baby. Let's go!
It's like when you picked out those Disney chairs 100 years ago. Yes.
He was definitely my sleeper pick last year. Oh my god, I feel terrible. It's so true.
I feel terrible.
Cortland, who's your waiver wire target of this week?
Man, so this is kind of it's a sore subject for me because I actually drafted this guy, dropped him, and then saw somebody else pick him up on the waiver wire this last week. A.J. Brown from Tennessee. This guy, I knew he had talent. I knew he had opportunity in that offense, but Mariota just wasn't giving me any confidence with him. But you saw him get on the same page. What I love about him is his big play potential, right? You've seen him in 2 weeks now go for 3 catches for close to 100 yards both times, so 2 weeks out of 4. So it's definitely possible to see him going forward, just getting more and more involved. Both those weeks, they looked amazing as an offense. So anytime you get 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions, 94 yards out of a guy who's only rostered in 12% of that league, give me that production from a young guy who has some nice run after the catch ability. I'm all in on A.J. Brown.
Run after the catch ability. You love that. Somebody who doesn't have run after the catch ability is Nick's waiver wire target, but he has fantastic hands.
I thought you were about to say Nick. I was about to be like, "Whoa, man! I can run catch a little bit."
I haven't seen you, but I've read the scouting report on you, and it was all like he's so uncomebackable that you cannot even hurt him He'll just bounce back up. No, but your waiver wire target of this week has amazing hands, but no run after the catch ability, as far as I remember. Do you want to talk about more about
I sure
Cole
do.
Beasley?
And actually, if I were to be in the NFL, this would probably be my player comp right here. Mr. Cole Beasley. While everyone else plays checkers, you always want to remind yourself to play chess. And while everyone tries to go get A.J. Brown and his 3 targets, make sure you go in a PPR league and look for the guy who's getting multiple targets per game. And that is the the team leader in targets, yards, receptions. And I'm stealing this from Matt Williams verbatim, this right here exactly. Sorry for a little bit of plagiarism, Matt, if you're listening. I love you. And you're too smart for me not to say it back to everyone listening on this show. Look at what Cole Beasley has coming up on week 7, when most of your wide receivers are going to be on bye week. Week 10. Week 11, when most receivers are going to be on the bye week. Cole Beasley plays the Dolphins both freaking weeks. In between there, he's got the Eagles, the Redskins, and the Browns. He's got a tough matchup against the Titans this week. I understand you're picking him up, but not because you're playing checkers and not because you're picking him up to start this week. You're playing chess. You're thinking weeks in advance. You're thinking moves in advance. You don't want to be the guy trying to win every week. You want to be the guy trying to win in the next 6 weeks. So get Cole Beasley. He's got 2 matchups against the Dolphins the next 6 weeks, plus a matchup against the Redskins, plus a matchup against the Eagles. I like me some Cole Beasley. Again, leads his team in targets, yards, receptions, touchdowns. I don't know. Probably rushes, probably rushing yards, maybe passes, maybe passing yards. I'm not exactly sure, but it's Cole Beasley's train, so jump on it now.
A little hot sauce.
Hot sauce on it. I knew it.
Sauce on it.
I miss him. I miss him a little bit.
What's your favorite kind of hot sauce, real quick, boys? For me, it's sriracha.
Oh, Frank's, baby, all day.
Yeah.
Classic. Come on.
I just read hot sauce and I'm like, okay.
Okay, no, I accept that actually.
I can see Carl's face. Okay, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
like, people give me hot sauce. We were at real
Is
quick
this
story.
Lula? All right. Okay.
Quick story. We were at a Chinese restaurant with my in-laws and they had some pepper mustard sauce and like, Carl, try this. This is super hot. Tried it and like, yeah, this fine. My hometown actually has 2 different mustard brands that you have to have on everything. So like mustard is like whatever, like it doesn't face us, and while sriracha kills me.
Sriracha's so good, man. Oh.
It's good, but I can't take it. I cannot take it.
If you're not sweating after a meal, it wasn't a good meal. Remember that, everyone.
It's truth. Sweat from the scalp too, right? Like that steam coming up from here.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
You know it's yeah.
Your hair's wet just because you ate some Thai food. Oh, it's the best, bro.
We gotta hit a couple of more questions here before we get on to the next topic. I see that we're running a little bit low on time. So what's up, fellas? From Mike. Who should he start for week 5? Chark, Sutton, Fitz, or A-Rob? Nick, do you want to start with that one?
Chark, Sutton, Fitz, or A-Rob? Chark, Sutton, Fitz, or A-Rob? That's a lot of names. Let's try. That's a tough one. Oh my God, I don't know. Carlton, you want to take this? Hold on, I can't even think.
I can jump in. I jump in. I just wanted to actually get it on the screen what my rankings say.
See, that's why I'm over here trying to.
Yeah,
it's just me. I'm putting y'all on the seat just so I can get my rankings up on the screen for these 4 players. And I don't want to say too much about DJ Chark, but he's my highest ranked of the 4 this week. I'm not sure if this was PPR. Doesn't say, but in PPR, I have him second.
Well, we don't want you to give away your next show. You don't have to talk about it. It seems like you like Shark, but we'll let you get into your show.
I like Shark a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not so much a teaser, but a meta.
No, but you don't know if I like him more or less than Marcus Robinson.
Right, there you go. That's true. For me, definitely DJ Shark against this Carolina defense. I like him a lot.
Really? Are we gonna sleep on Old Faithful Larry Fitzgerald over there against Cincinnati? That Cincinnati secondary is like porous. It's a sponge over there. He's gonna do work. Kyler's gonna pick him apart. I think
Is Kirk playing? Is Kirk even playing?
Kirk is questionable, so it's not a definite that he is. And if he isn't, that changes things for me too.
Yeah, there's talk that Andy Isabella is playing on the outside.
Ooh, I like me some Isabella.
I've been waiting for Isabella, man. Where the fuck has he been?
But of
Should have
these
been on
four,
Lakers. He
of
should have been.
these four matchup, Fitz actually has the third worst opponent.
I'm telling you. Remember this moment. Do you want to do a slap bet? No?
No,
Okay.
no.
One slap bet a show, boys. One slap bet a show. My God.
Free.
Someone's going to get down 15 slaps and they're going to die, and that's not what we need.
We have another question with James W. over D. Robinson. That's kind of... is it DeMarcus Robinson over James Washington or James White?
Probably James White, because nobody's going to talk about James Washington right now.
No, James Washington is unrosterable.
Yeah.
I'm gonna to not spoil the entire show. Coming up, I'm not going to talk about the DeMarcus Robinson and let y'all two talk that one out in PPR.
Yeah.
James White versus DeMarcus Robinson.
James White. Start James White. If you have James White on your roster, start him unless you have 5 unbelievable players. He's playing Washington, in my opinion. Carlton?
Agreed, 1,000%. Seeing it up close and personal, James White is Mr. Consistent with that offense. So, yeah, I'm never benching him. I'm never taking him out of my lineup. DeMarcus Robinson, while I think he can play really well, the risk to me is not worth the reward.
And Melo Fan wants to know how Golden Tate will do this week. I don't think he's going to be extremely proficient, but I got burned with Gallman last week on that Giants offense. So,
wait, are we talking about Noah Fant right now?
Golden
Tate.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we said Noah Fant. I was like, what are we talking about right now?
No,
Golden Tate.
New York plays Minnesota. They're the 21st best defense for a wide receiver to play, so that's not good. And
6 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown.
Oof.
What'd you say? 6 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown?
I don't know.
But
That's
his ceiling, dude.
Whoo!
He's
That's
gonna hit
too much for me. That's too rich for my blood. Give me 3 receptions, 5 targets, 35 yards, no touchdown.
Ooh, you guys, you're sleeping on Danny Dimes, man. He's gonna show out. They've been waiting for this moment. Golden Tate's gonna be the primary guy. I know Sterling Shepard's been looking good.
Sterling Shepard has
They're
been
gonna prove a
looking
point.
good.
Golden Tate didn't look good last year. Why are we just assuming he's going to come back
with
as
a
the
better
refreshed?
quarterback?
True. This is right. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. I backed out.
And Evan
Maybe
Ingram,
I got a little
Ingram
excited.
is definitely the guy on that offense.
I got a little excited. You're right.
I got a little excited.
Evan Ingram is definitely the guy on that offense.
Oh yeah, Evan Ingram's a beast. There's only 3 good tight ends, and he's
We're
one of them.
running so long. We have way too many segments for this show, guys. we're gonna hit. We have 2 more topics in 8 minutes and more questions coming in. So we're gonna go real quick with the next segment that also doesn't have an intro just yet, and that segment is called "Stay Woke." Carlton Banks sleepers.
Stay woke.
Who are your sleepers for this week, Carlton?
I got some sleepers. I'm trying to keep everybody awake here, so I know we're getting late on time, so I'm going to try to speed through. Number 1 is a Tate, but it's not Golden. It's my man Auden. Big old Auden up there in Cincinnati. This guy's going to do work. I'm loving the opportunity that he has in Cincinnati right now. You got AJ out. You got John Ross out now. And one thing we know about Andy Dalton is he makes receivers fantasy relevant. He always spreads the ball around. You see AJ Green and a Tyler Boyd. You see a Tyler Boyd and a John Ross. Who's going to be that guy with Tyler Boyd now? It's Auden Tate. Pick him up right now. I'm telling you, he loves, let's see, we have 16 targets for 10 catches, 138 yards so far. He went from a 7th-round pick who might not make the roster to now being the number 2 wide receiver in offense. That puts his ball in the air quite a bit. I'm loving me some Auden Tate. He kind of gives me Mike Williams vibes a little bit there from the Chargers, and I think that it's possible that he has a strong finish right here because I don't see AJ Green coming back anytime soon. He might get shipped out of there. I don't see John Ross coming back maybe for another 4 or 5 weeks. So if I could find Auden Tate right now who's only rostered in 3.1% of leagues, I'm all in right there.
You had me before Mike Williams. And then I'm out.
He's a 6'5" monster, man. Come on.
I'm out.
Come on.
The epitome of inconsistency is what you're trying to sell me.
He's injured right now. Give Mike Will a
We're
break.
talking about last year, Mike Williams, when he came on strong at the end of the year. Come on, not now. Last year. No, but I'm loving that they're going against Arizona's pass defense too. They're 23rd ranked right now, so I'm really seeing him putting in some work this week and going forward, only being more involved. So that's my number 1 sleeper, right?
Yeah, and they do have the 4th best schedule for a wide receiver moving forward after week 5 as well. So it's a fantastic player to pick up, in my opinion, as well, moving forward.
See, come on, guys. I'm just trying to wake people up. That's all I'm doing. So number 2, I'm gonna go hometown squad right here. I'm going big old Dawson Knox, the tight end from Buffalo. In a tight end thin year, I know we're having a tough time finding a good tight end. You're streaming people. You're like my man Carl over here looking at old man Jason Witten, just trying to get 7 points a week, just praying for a touchdown. Dawson Knox not only gives you that big playability, which I'm really impressed with, he's going to give you the big catches in traffic. He's going to give you a little bit of that yak and that rack and that run after the catch ability. You saw it 2 weeks ago when he's just running people over, stiff arming them. Love it. Loving the matchup this week, too. We're going against the Titans, who just got torched by Austin Hooper. And Knox is averaging, believe this or not, 28.6 yards a catch. This guy is slept on right now. And a rookie tight end is never okay to trust. I get it. I understand. But when you look at the Bills' offense, you got a lot of Cole Beasleys, you got a lot of John Browns, small receivers who can work the chains. But in the red zone, who are you going to? I'm going to big old Dawson Knox. That's what I'm going to. So I'm picking up Dawson Knox in the tight end thing here. He's a sleeper for me, and I'm expecting a big week out of him, especially with Mac Barkley. Like, I mean, who's he going to throw to? He's got a noodle arm. I'm just tossing it up to the big boy, let him do something.
Let's hit the weekly topic before we sign off. Or, well, let's do the questions after the weekly topic as well. But we're going to touch on this weekly topic. And that's something I wanted to call sleeping giants. Are they waking up? And we're going to be real quick with this weekly topic, as we've gone down the rabbit hole far too many times today. Talking about hockey, talking about mustard. And
Mustard was the deepest dive we took.
Shia LaBeouf may have been the deepest dive.
Shia LaBeouf was great. That was great.
No, but we're going to save that for, we're actually promoting a new show next Monday called Shia LaBeouf Deep Dive. Join me, Carlton, and Nick as we dig deep into Shia LaBeouf's career.
Filmography of Shia. It's coming.
But for now, on this show, we want to talk about Nick Chubb. Was that his coming out game of 2019, and is he finally back? Carlton, how do you feel about Nick Chubb moving forward?
Yeah. Chubb he's back. He's back, and he's better than ever. That guy, to me, has always been the engine of this offense. So I think they go as far as Chubb takes them. Baker, he was an exciting pick to take. Obviously, everybody loves OBJ. Jarvis had a great week last week. But I think as far as Chubb takes him is as far as that offense goes. So, I think that this was the week that they see that, hey, we forgot we have a stud in the backfield. Let's get him involved. Let's take a little pressure off of Baker, and let's see what we got going forward. So I expect nothing but maybe not this level of production, but I see him being very involved going forward.
So I just want to chime in and say that Nick Chubb scored 36.3 fantasy points. Can you tell me how many times Leonard Fournette has been over 30?
0 times.
30.4 points.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Just saying there's a chance. Nick Chubb has done that twice already.
Wow.
Here's a slap bet I'll take. I bet Nick Chubb doesn't score more fantasy points than that this year.
I don't want to touch that.
I'm not touching that. No.
So don't forget, with 86, Nick Chubb's 88-yard touchdown run, the guy's sitting at like 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Still great fantasy points, but that one play was very helpful.
But we've seen those plays from Chubb from time to time already on a more frequent basis than we have from a lot of other running back. Even like somebody like Ezekiel Elliott rarely breaks off a long one. While Chubb, is that his 3rd long rushing touchdown, or is it his 4th in NFL?
I don't have it.
Probably 3rd or 4th.
I think, yeah, which is pretty incredible. The next topic we're going to skip because we already talked so much about the Buccaneers. So let's move over and see what Nick has to say about the Minnesota receivers, who are very frustrated right now. Are they a sleeping giant that is ever going to wake up?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I'd like to think who they got this week. They got a good matchup this week. They got the Giants. It's do or die right now. We heard Thielen call out Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Stephon Diggs go up on Twitter and put, so it's now or never. You play the Giants on the road. If they don't step up this week, then I'm selling every single thing I have to do with the Vikings wide receivers. But in one of my 17,000 leagues with Matt Stafford, I did pick up Kirk Cousins as my quarterback this week. And I do think because it's do or die time, we are going to see a game that we're not expecting from the Vikings passing game over the Giants. Give me some Stephon Diggs love this week. So I don't know. But I'm probably selling on them. No, I'm not buying into the Vikings offense. They are not a sleeping giant.
I think they're about to perform really well this week and lull everybody into a false sense of confidence moving forward, and then they're going back to sleep.
Once they get everyone into Giants this week, sell your Thielen, sell your Diggs. Well, keep Dalvin Cook, but sell those receivers.
Do not sell Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, right.
Dalvin Cook or Nick Chubb for the rest of the season, boys.
Ooh,
that's a tough one. I got Dalvin. I love Dalvin. He looks like he's primed up. Yeah, I'm going Dalvin.
Yeah.
He's in prone.
You know, there's trade rumors though for Diggs that have circulating right now. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but they're saying that he might be on the move. The Vikings are actually, they're not saying that it's true, but it's possible. And I've heard the Bills are in talks. He started following a lot of Bills players on Twitter, so just throwing it out there.
That would be interesting. Go from one terrible quarterback to somebody who can't throw.
Oh,
okay. If you want to catch passes, I don't know.
You're on the Allen train. Come on, don't.
Yeah,
don't
no,
I'm
just trying to bust your balls.
Of course, man.
But that was the weekly topic. We're gonna touch that real quick because we have a bunch of questions that if both y'all
comment
time, we're gonna touch Mellow fans question. We're gonna touch it real good. Should I drop Sony Michel? It's just a question, people. It's just a question.
No.
Carlton, drop Sony Michel.
I'm not dropping him, but
do you drop Sony Michel for Ronald Jones?
Yes, absolutely.
No, for me, no.
If I can move Michel for Jones, I'm taking it.
Just curious.
Yeah, I would drop him for it. I don't like Patriots running backs.
James White.
I think he still has a little trade value.
I do like James White in PPR, but mainly PPR. Otherwise, I don't. Like I said, with the Eagles, you just don't know with the Patriots. Like I said, who freaking was it? Brandon Bolden ran in a touchdown?
Yeah, that helps no one.
Yeah, that's what freaking Belichick does to your fantasy team. He does not like it, and he will destroy all your dreams.
Yep. He gets joy out.
Ask the Falcons if he's a dream destroyer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
28-3.
28-3.
Ooh. It's a low blow, Carl. I'm not even for you.
Sure it is.
Yeah, no, it is. I do throw out a lot. I feel a little mean today.
That's good, man. I want to see that.
Instead of Baker Mayfield's, I feel dangerous. I'm like, I feel mean. Should I start Philip Lindsay, Demarcus Robinson, or John Brown, or MVS in PPR? That was a lot of players. We got Demarcus Robinson. We got Philip Lindsay. And Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And who's the last one? I forgot. John Brown.
John Brown.
You can start while I get my rankings up. If
Devontae Adams has turf toe, give me MVS starting in my roster all day long. But if Devontae Adams is there, you got to keep riding Philip Lindsay. He's the boy there in Denver. Chargers don't have as stout of a defense as we all kind of hoped with some injuries. That's kind of been nagging them, obviously, with Ingram, Derwin. But so I'm starting Lindsay. But if Devontae's not playing, I'm going to, let's be bold. If you're 4-0, start Philip Lindsay. If you're 3-1, Lindsay. 2-2 and under, let's get bold and start MVS if no Devontae. Carlton, agree?
Yeah, I'm agreeing. I like MVS a lot, man. I think that size matchup he's got over there, I'm liking what Aaron Rodgers is going to do against. I know, Carl, I'm sorry. I know the Cowboys secondary is so feared, right? But I think Aaron Rodgers is going to humble him a little bit. So I see some MVS getting in the end zone. Yep. I see a big, maybe 50-yard, 40-yard completion. Yeah,
I like it. I agree.
Yeah, if you're going to hurt the Cowboys, you have to hurt them deep in the secondary, and that's what Aaron Rodgers can do as well, especially if the pass rush isn't coming there. But with Quinn coming in strong, but then you have DeMarcus Lawrence looking a little bit banged up, and we don't really have any answers for why he was out of the game so much against the Saints, especially on the biggest freaking plays of the game. They took him out, your big payday guy. But I totally agree with everything y'all said about those guys.
Yeah. And I think John Brown's going to be pretty much locked up against that Titans defense. So
Yeah, especially if Matt Barkley's out there, I'm not touching John Brown.
agreed.
Yeah.
Cole Beasley though.
What if we add LeSean McCoy to that mix? Still the same, right?
That doesn't change anything.
No. Also, Alshon Jeffrey or Golden Tate if Devontae Adams is out in full point PPR. I got Alshon Jeffrey for me over Golden Tate. I'm not extremely high on Jeffrey, but I'm not high on Golden Tate at all. And Jeffrey seems to always be the go-to guy in the red zone for Carson Wentz.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Alshon. He does. One thing I know is about Wentz, he locks in on a guy, and that's his guy. So Alshon's his guy.
Yeah,
for sure. All day.
How do we feel about starting Darren Waller versus Chicago in flex and Ingram as tight end? No. But don't you have? It's Wesley. I need the points. Who has the most upside? That's another one. Okay, no, I don't want to start Waller at my flex.
So the question is just Waller at flex. Do we start him?
Yeah,
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
be
be
difficult in a vacuum to answer that one.
No context, but with no
Would you
context.
put him in your flex? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean if it is Waller or Randall Cobb, I'm probably going Waller. Even in a revenge game.
I'll even start Darren Waller over like Kerryon Johnson this week.
Ooh.
I'm starting Waller over Tyrell Williams, right? I think we could agree with that.
Yeah, definitely Waller over Tyrell Williams. Kerryon Johnson has a bye, and that's why I'm starting him over.
Who has the most upside of DJ Chark, Darrell Williams, Jalen Samuels? And we're just going to hit these 3 last questions, and then we're done. I'm sorry if you put in another question after this.
Next week.
But we'll touch the other questions next week.
You can always hit us up on Twitter with these questions. We're always down to answer, you know?
Always.
Yeah, and please leave comments after the show has aired as well. That's no problem at all.
Yep.
But most upside to me is DJ Chark over Darrell Williams and Jalen Samuels.
Yeah, Darrell Williams might not be playing with Damian coming back. Jalen Samuels, if James Conner isn't playing, I like Jalen Samuels. I have no problem with him going against the Ravens defense that just allowed Nick Chubb 100,000 yards. Yeah. But yeah, if James Conner's playing, you're right. I mean, 100%.
Shark all day.
Is nodding.
Shark all day, man. You know I'm a Shark guy. Come on, Baby Shark. That's my guy. So yeah, he's gonna go hard. He's this is a breakout year. He's got the opportunity, and that's all that matters to me. Opportunity, volume. I'm big on those two. And out of those, Sharks got the mix.
And then if the case, there's a if factor here moving into if Damian Williams and LeSean McCoy doesn't play, then Darrell Williams has the most upside, which I 100% agree with.
100%. Starting Darrell Williams if neither McCoy or I'm starting Darrell Williams if Damian Williams doesn't play. I don't give a. Darrell Williams outsnapped LeSean McCoy, looked better than LeSean McCoy, is better than LeSean McCoy. LeSean McCoy is washed up. I'm sorry, he's old. I'm not buying into him at all. Give me Darrell Williams if Damian doesn't play, but I'm pretty sure Damian's playing.
Yeah.
And we have the last question. I have Bell and Connor, just not sure if sitting one of them this week would be wise or play them both. Bell is coming off a bye week and may play with something to prove in PPR. If Connor might even be out, so you might not even have to make that decision. But the Pittsburgh offensive line looks terrible to me. Even though you have Baltimore Ravens, I think they're coming out with something to prove as well that they're not going to be pushed around in that AFC North. And I'm worried about the Pittsburgh offensive line, and I'm trying to stay away from their backfield, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but when you invest so much in running backs like that, it's got to be hard to set them, right? So it really depends on options he has behind them. You know that if they do play, they're going to get work. And they're both really good at running him and catching. So they're going to get PPR work. So it's hard to sit either one of those, even though you're disappointed in the surrounding pieces. For this one, I think the parts are a little bit better than the sum of that offense.
Yeah, unless you got bigger balls than me, you got to start Connor and Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got Luis and Chauncey with 2 comments just before we sign off. Luis says, love the knowledge you guys bring to the chat. Thank you all so much. And Chauncey TV just sent out a link to folks to check out you guys live. Thank you so much, Chauncey.
Hey, thanks, Chauncey.
Please share links on social media. We appreciate it a ton. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Everything helps us bring out even more content. We're working on even more stuff, not just this show that we added this year, but we have so much in the pipeline as well moving forward. So it's super excited. And for this show, I've been extremely happy with how it turned out. We're getting more and more people to join in the chat. I'm super excited moving forward. So happy to have everybody come in and ask us questions. And we're trying to not go into hockey and mustard too much, even though we're going to stick with Shia LaBeouf as much as we can.
Never too much shy.
Never too much Nicholas Lindstrom either, or Sweden hockey players. Sorry if you don't like hockey. Go toughen up. It's one of the most tough sports there are.
Yeah,
Find me at Nick Faber NFL on Twitter if you want to debate that.
Come at me. Signing off is CSD Fantasy. Nick Faber and Carlton Daniel. See y'all next time.
Jamarcus, can we make that a thing?
Jamarcus.